This is great poltergeist activity.
That is really freaky.
That was like someone was walking down the steps right behind us.
God, this is a spooky place.
We're not frightened of you.
Hey, Salmon Skins. It's episode 21, and I'm talking about ghosts again. Dereka Cora. Dereka Cora. If there's something strange, and it's probably not a ghost, who are you going to call? Most Haunted. So, Most Haunted was a show that ran on Living TV, some sort of satellite digital television channel that needed content. And there's lots of versions of these. You know, there's been lots of copies and lots of American versions. I don't know what they're called, but they're all essentially the same. It's a bunch of people who go to an old place at night and get fucking spooked out and shitted out of their minds with fear, and there's nothing there. They're just like, they're seeing orbs, they're seeing dust and thinking that it's ghosts. They're seeing things in the dark. They're hearing noises. Yeah, hearing noises in old creaky houses. But see, here's the thing. If you heard the last episode, I have been sort of scared and fascinated by ghosts. I've always wanted to see a ghost, and I've always been jealous of people who have had encounters and who have told me about their encounters. A friend of mine, when I lived in Cork and worked in the cinema, he told me that his own father couldn't see the ghost of his mother. I think it was like, well, as in his grandmother. He wasn't too sure, because I think the grandmother had died before he was born, and he was just in his bedroom, and this ghost came in and sat on the bed. And his dad came in and was talking to him, and he was like staring at this old lady ghost wearing a dress, and his dad was like gesturing with his hand, and his hand was going through her, but there was no gooey ectoplasm on his hand. And then, you know, he sort of described her afterwards, and he said, yeah, that could have been her. And he was so calm about it. His dad was so calm about it, and he was saying, I've just seen your mother, and she's dead, but I've seen her. Now, I've never seen a ghost. I thought I saw a ghost one time. Well, not saw a ghost. I thought I felt the presence of a ghost. In the backyard of our old house, we had a shed that had a whole load of turf. Now, if you don't know what turf is, Google it. It's a fuel that you take from the land and burn it in your house. It's a Midlands thing. And, well, not specifically Midlands. It's a country thing. But, so we go down in the dark and, fill up the bucket with turf for the fire. And I remember the light wouldn't work, so I had to go down in the pitch dark. And I remember feeling a presence behind me. Now, it could have been a cat. It actually, in all probability, in all likelihood, it probably was a cat. But I didn't know that at the time. I was just like, this is probably a ghost behind me. And I remember running and not looking back to see, because I was afraid of what I'd see, which would be nothing, probably just a cat. Or maybe it was the ghost of a cat. I never even considered that. But, and then I said this years later, and my older brother said he experienced exactly the same thing, which makes me think it's more likely that it was a cat. But as I've said before in the podcast, if you're a regular listener, we did have like old cockfights and stuff at the back, old landed gentry. So, I mean, it could have been the ghost of a cock that had died in a fight. So, I don't know, probably would have made a little bit more noise, because they can make noise sometimes. I don't know, but sometimes they can't make noise, and they need to talk through someone, and that someone is Dereka Cora. Now, Dereka Cora unfortunately passed away a couple of months ago, but he I got his audiobook, his life story, on CD, before because it was cheap, and I thought it'd be funny to listen to. And I listened to a bit of it, and it wasn't very funny at all. Although I wish I still had it. I think it's in my home in Offaly, so I could put like little clips in, but I won't. But I'll put little clips in anyway. He's most famous for this one particular clip that I'll play this clip now, and this is him in a haunted place, and I say haunted, but the show's called Most Haunted. But myself and my younger brother would watch it religiously. We watched it for months and months because we thought surely there'd be something unexplainable, there'd be something weird. It became like a guilty pleasure, like Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares. You kind of knew the format, you knew what was going to happen. In this case, nothing. They were never going to see a ghost, but you kept watching it because you hoped upon hope that someday a ghost would appear. But now Derek was from Liverpool, so he talked like this, and he had a very particular Liverpool accent. And whenever he was possessed, he was always possessed by someone with a mild Liverpool accent. And when he gets possessed, you'll hear the noise. He makes a kind of a noise like he's going to shit himself.
Not because, basically, I know the name Robert walks round, and I know Mary does, but there's this peace and calm of spiritual activity there with... You all right?
All right.
Hold on.
All right.
What is it, Derek? You all right? Mary loves Dick. Mary loves Dick. Mary loves Dick. Richard. Don't say all those things about him. Don't.
Who are you? You all right?
Hold on.
You all right?
Just for a moment, energy came in, and there's annoyance. A nice lady, but I feel as if she's got this great love for Dick.
Right.
For Dick.
Okay.
Great love. Covers him up. Covers him up.
Are they related or are they...
Yes.
They're related?
Yes.
Right.
She covered him up. She helped him.
How do you mean covered him up?
How did she cover him up, Sam? She protected him.
Yeah. Mary really does love Dick. If you watch that clip, one of the people with him has she's actually the presenter of the show and one of the producers. She has her hand kind of up to the side of her mouth, kind of covering her nose and her mouth, because she's basically fucking pissing herself. She's laughing at the ridiculousness of this man. Well, first off, if you were a medium who talks to ghosts, you're a fucking con artist who's trying to extract money from vulnerable people, essentially. And you're a fraud and a charlatan, and I spit on thee. Like, I know he's dead, but like, you know, he should have seen that coming. But, or he should be happy he's with all his friends, because he had a spirit guide called Sam. So he used to talk to Sam. In the show, he'd go, Sam, is there anyone there, Sam? Pass me on. Thank you, Sam. So he could hear Sam, but no one else could hear Sam. And then he was asked in an interview, watched an interview with him, and he said Sam was an Ethiopian. So it just sounds like he's just making it up as he goes along, because he probably is. Where he's asked, who's your spirit guide? Sam. Where's he from? Ethiopia. And okay, Ethiopian Sam. I'm not saying people call Sam can't be from Ethiopia. Of course they can. But it just sounds dubious. Because like, he's from Liverpool. What has an Ethiopian and a Liverpudlian got in common? I don't know. They both support Everton. That's entirely possible. But there was one episode where he gets possessed by a circus ringmaster. So he's standing outside the location, the most haunted location that they're at, and then all of a sudden he starts going, "Welcome to the circus, the circus," and he comes back out of it again. He's like, "Oh, what did I say?" I said, "Oh, welcome to the circus." And then one of the researchers who's there with them, one of the historians, because they usually have a historian there to kind of confirm or deny, to yay or nay, his stream of bullshit. And your man goes, "Yes, there was a circus here many years ago." And then, you know, the camera shot shows an old sign saying entrance to circus. And it's like, right, he's full of shit. But like, in the last episode, I talked about the Flying Dutchman being a haunted ship. No, not a haunted ship, a ghost ship. The most famous of all non-human ghosts. And there was an episode of Most Haunted where they were visiting an old cruise ship that was just like sitting dormant in a dock somewhere, and apparently it was haunted. Now, you know, I don't think it was, but there's a scene in it, in the episode. There's a bit in the episode, not a scene. I say scene because it's like fucking made up. But there was a pool, a swimming pool in the boat with this kind of tiered seating. Obviously, there's no water in the swimming pool because it's like, you know, it's an abandoned cruise ship. And Derek's up getting possessed by someone with a mild Liverpool accent. And he's called back down, and it comes over the radio. Get back down here, Derek. Get back down here, quickly. So he goes back down, and there's like wet footprints, as if someone walked up the little ladder in the swimming pool, got out, and walked across the floor, leaving wet footprints. So then I was like, right, so does this mean that water can die and come back to life? Like, it's not like the floor is wet and you see footprints as if someone's walking, like an invisible man thing. It's like, so there's wet footprints like someone's come out of the swimming pool, which doesn't have water. And if they were coming out of the swimming pool, wouldn't it be a lot of water and not just these wet footprints? It just seems like a bunch of bullshit. Because there's another one where they're in a library, and this was another humdinger of an episode. They're in a library, which apparently was haunted by a librarian, but like a kind of not like an evil changing their face into a demon type librarian, like in the opening scene of Ghostbusters, where they go into New York City Library, and she's all shh, and then she goes, rah, she turns into like a Sam Raimi Evil Dead 2 fucking monster. Like, that fucking terrified me. No, this is like a nice librarian, but they keep mentioning things. Like they say, and I don't know how they even started on this, I can't remember, but they go like, Muhammad Ali, and then a book falls off the shelf in this old, well, it's still in use obviously at the library, and the book is like Muhammad Ali's autobiography, and they keep mentioning things, hardcore German pornography, and you know, a book of Sigmund Freud's life story falls off the shelf, and they go, oh, close enough. But the worst possible thing I saw, well, not the worst thing, I mean, no one was harmed, but Derek Acorah, for some reason, ended up on Irish television doing a psychic reading of Twink's pet Yorkshire Terrier. And I don't understand that at all. Like, were they pulling the piss out of him? Or what was the story? But yeah, he went on a daytime talk show, which is kind of the mainstay for these psychics. They go on daytime talk shows and they basically never get called out. They're just like, oh, wow, you're giving so much hope to so many people. Like, no, you're not. You're a fucking fraud, mate. So he went on, and I'll just play the clip. He basically went on because Twink, who Adele King, a.k.a. Twink, who, for people who don't know, if you're listening in Canada, she is sort of an entertainer, sort of a song and dance woman, comedienne, the kind of old school variety, sort of vaudevillian type. Well, she's not that old, but still. Yeah, she went on this daytime Irish talk show, and he just started reading the feelings of a dog, and like, the dog's alive. He's not a dog whisperer. What's going on here? Anyway, here's the clip.
What's going on inside of, I would say, with respect to a lovely dog, lovely natured dog, caring dog, but what's going on inside Adele, and it's shooting out at me is this lovely dog as a nature that if a stranger was to come into its space and what have you, it's got this way about it that, hey, I'll go with you.
Absolutely.
And that is a little fault. You can change that, though. You can by speaking to him.
Really?
Yes, you can.
He's too loving, Derek. You're exactly right. He's too
He would
loving.
go with any stranger. So that's the danger in that sense. You've got to now control the love for him by making sure he's not out of sight, because it's in his nature and he would go with anyone and everyone.
Derek, is Teddy okay after what he went through? Can you see any kind of trauma in him?
I got 90% trauma when I first saw him. It's then started to come back. And right now with him, I get 1% all. It's not even trauma.
He's relaxed.
He's with his mummy. He's happy again.
He is, yeah.
He's happy.
Say that again, Derek. You get 1% what?
1% left with him in feelings, not memory, feelings of that sad, bad time for him. Now, that 1% will also go now as you're going along, OK?
Yeah, like, I think he knew that he was going to be on. He knew he was going to be talking psychically to a dog. And everything he explained about the dog was, and she was agreeing with him, it's like, yeah, I mean, you can just look up Wikipedia and find out what Yorkies are like and what their kind of personalities are like. You know, they're bred to be a certain way. It's like saying, oh, a hound dog, that hound dog, he wants to hunt. He's saying, fox, I want to chase a fox. Fox. Doggy loves fox. Doggy loves fox. You know, it doesn't make a difference. A dog is a dog. And he was really struggling there. Like, he was really struggling with his own bullshit. That's when you know someone is deep, deep, deep in their fraud, that they actually kind of almost believe their own bullshit to the point where he didn't prepare anything. He just starts going, 1% in feelings for that the bad time for him is gone now. The other 99, he's got 1% problems, but 99 not problems. Is the dog called Jay-Z? Is it Jay-Z? No, that's the wrong accent. He's Liverpudlian. Is a dog called Jay-Z? Is it Jay-Z? No, I'm getting bone. Something to do with bone. Because it's always very, very, you know, they play the hits. That's what they do, these psychics. They talk about money. They say stuff like, you know, when someone's died in your family and this person this was a sad death. This was a death that made people sad. Yeah, unlike, you know, all the other happy times we've had when our loved ones have passed on. You know, it's just, and it was an old person. I'm getting granny, granddad, gran. Does this, anyone ringing a bell? Does anyone have a granny? And, you know, fuck these guys. Now, we're going to take a little break and I'm going to talk about a female psychic. So here's a break and we'll see you soon. Here's a commercial break and come on back for the commercial break. I feel a psychic coming on. There's going to be a break right now. And we're back. So, yes, Sally Morgan, who is another famous psychic. I say with, you can't see me. That's me doing the bunny rabbit ears. So she's not a psychic. She is also a mainstay of these daytime talk shows, Loose Women. She came on Loose Women to, I think, predict the sex of the new royal baby. And, you know, you've got a 50% chance of being right there, as everyone does. You don't have to be a psychic to have a good stab at what sex the child is going to be. So Sally Morgan has basically outed herself a few times. She was on a BBC radio show and the presenter had his mum call in and she was trying to guess stuff about the father who had passed on, the husband. And he kind of pressed her to guess, you know, certain things that she should know if she's a psychic and, you know, talking to these dead people. And she came a blank. Well, she didn't come a blank. Her response was just odd.
Sally, let's pause a second.
Okay.
I mean, to be
Here
fair,
we go,
you've had a try, and that's fair enough.
Yeah,
but there is no boy in our family that died young, and August the 3rd means nothing to my mother. And now you're talking about my mum's dad, but you're speaking about him in very vague terms. I mean, when you say there's a sense of him...
You see, to me, when I talk about someone that has passed, it is never vague. I get I can't...
Well, tell us something about my granddad, then.
It's only... I mean, if I spoke to you tomorrow, Christine, I might not pick that up. So it's very much now, and I don't know whether your mum's been recently thinking of her father.
Tell us a bit, what did he do for a living?
I don't pick that up, what he did for a living. I don't pick that up. I just get a sense of your...
How did he die?
Well, the only thing I get with your mum's dad, it's right on the something on the side of my head. That's the only thing that I get. And it really is the left-hand side of my... It's like someone's just... I want to sort of hold the left-hand side of my head, but I don't understand that either.
Okay, Mum, does that mean anything to you?
What side of her head?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it's like I can feel a hand on a face. Does that mean anything to you? Has anyone ever laid their hands on your head and it's been significant? No? Okay, that's fine. Let's move on. I mean, it's simple guesswork. But here's the story, right? There was a while ago that myself and Kevin McGarn were writing sketches that we were performing to audiences. Remember those times? And we had an idea for a sketch where I would play. It was based on Sally Morgan. And, well, initially I loved Derek Acora, but then we did some research and found out some stuff about Sally Morgan. And our sketch was going to be me as a psychic walking around a room, and there was going to be like a cup, like you get 2 cups on a piece of string like kids use for like telephones, kiddie telephones or walkie-talkies, and I was going to have this cup sort of taped to my ear, and then be a long string, and then Kevin would be my researcher asking people, who's dead, who's died, who are you trying to find, what's their name, and then like feeding me that information in through the cup. Because we never actually did it, but it was just an idea that might have been a funny kind of audience interaction bit. But we got this from when Sally Morgan came to Dublin and played in the Bord Gáis Theatre, I think. And loads of people went because people are stupid and still believe in superstitious nonsense, even though we have science and reason. And they went to this thing, and what happens is everyone mingles in the lobby, and then they have people who work for Sally Morgan who are mingling, allegedly, just in case I get sued by Sally Morgan, who are mingling with the crowd, and everyone's telling their stories, and everyone's obviously opening up and saying, oh yeah, I'm here because my husband passed away, or my grandfather, I was very close to him and he owes me money, and I'm wondering, is there an afterlife, and is there a bank in the afterlife, and can you do a money wire exchange from the afterlife to the before life, or the now life as we call it. And they pick up on all this stuff and they write it all down, and then they're in the back of the auditorium and they're feeding her information through a little earpiece, because people rang up the Joe Duffy show. Now to my Canadian friends who I know are listening, and maybe Jim in Scotland, the Joe Duffy show is just the sort of what is it? It's just a complaining hour. It's people complain about stuff, and Joe listens to them, and that's it. That's simply it. But people were ringing in to Joe Duffy, and we found this clip of Joe Duffy talking about Sally Morgan. And people were complaining. They were saying they went to the show, they were fully prepared to have Sally talk to their dead loved ones, but then they heard like voices in a little room at the back of the auditorium. This is people who were like sitting, who got the cheap seats, so they're already kind of pissed off. And they said they heard voices, people talking, muttering, and then they said one of the doors kind of fell open, and there was a guy in a bear costume giving another guy a blowjob. Oh no, sorry, that's The Shining. But the door opened, and they kind of quickly closed. You could see people in their headsets with big screens and loads of cool equipment, those big spool-to-spool reels with all the information and all these computer noises. I'll put computer noises in, and then they're like, oh my god, and then the thing closed very, very sharply, just like that, and they were like, oh my god, it's a fraud. And they rang Joe Duffy up saying, we went to this psychic thinking she was real, but she was a fraud. That was the gist of it. And Joe got the completely wrong end of the stick. And Joe was going, so, and you went to talk to your dead husband. Oh, that's terrible. And how long has he been dead? 20 years. So you went to the show. Yeah, I did, Joe. I went to the show. And you were there in the crowd, and people in the back room, they knew the stuff, and they were saying it to Sally on stage, who was supposedly the psychic. Just so I know what you're saying now. Yeah, that's what happened, Joe. So, are the people in the back room psychic? Is that it? Like, Joe just couldn't grasp it, because I think Joe himself probably believed in psychics and that they were real. But yeah, Sally Field, not Sally Field. Maybe Sally Field is a psychic. She knew she was going to win that Oscar, and yet she still got to overcome with emotion. So, guys, this is it for today's episode. Thanks very much for listening. Thank you to everyone who is downloading it, reviewing it, helping it get some legs, get out there. I'm just rambling now. I'm looking at the sort of sunny day. It's a sunny day outside. I'll probably go for a walk. I'm doing a few things online later on, keeping myself busy. I hope, guys, you're all doing well. I miss you so much. I love you, and I'll see you soon.
Will Michael answer questions? Can the fans ask Michael questions?
Yes, he would like this. He would like this.